Good morning, it's Sarah, and it's time for our live video chat. Just in case you don't know, every Tuesday I try to have a live video chat, and it's at 9:30 a.m., and that's Mountain Time, and you'll need to check where you're living to see how 9:30 Mountain Time corresponds with your time, and we do it on the Posh Pooch Designs Facebook page. And then I always try to tweak it up a little bit and post it over to the YouTube channel so that everyone who wants to watch it certainly can. Now, today's video, we have lots of fun things to talk about. Our main topic is a question that I got a few weeks ago. A wonderfully nice lady was struggling with putting the edge, the single crochet edge around a washcloth. And so I told her I'd do a video. I have two techniques that I use depending on what I'm making of how I do that. And so I'm going to do a little demonstration in just a second. Now, the first question I want to answer is, I got a question about, she said, what is it you're wanting to accomplish with your YouTube channel? And this was someone who I was discussing my goals and what I want to do for 2018. And she said, so what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And then I found this quote, and it says, be silly, be honest, be kind. And I believe it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And so I added something to that. For what I want to accomplish is that I want everyone to know that, my goal is to be real, and then to be silly and honest and kind. So for some reason the comments aren't showing up. Let me click on, there we go. Hello there. I didn't see you all. I kept looking over there. There were no comments. Now I see you all. Tina, Sharon, Susie, Linda, Crystal, Dana, Barbie, Susie. Wait a minute, Susie. You got me twice. It's okay. You can click in twice if you want to. But anyway, I don't know why they weren't showing up, and it was starting to scare me. I'm like, where's my friends? That's Facebook for you. All right. So anyway, let's excuse me, let's clink in and check out this cup I got. Isn't that cool? I'm going to grab me a quick drink because my throat's dry real quick. All right. Sometimes I talk too much. You wouldn't know that. My dentist says I have a small mouth. And she said, I bet your mom would say something different. Well, if you notice, I'm wearing my jammies today. I decided to have a pajama party, and this voice in my head said to me, you probably need to get some new pajamas. So I bought this one. It says, I love coffee. I was just walking through Walmart. Goodness gracious. So anyway, then I decided this morning, because I decided to have a pajama party, that maybe I wouldn't wear any makeup. Another little voice said, maybe you should rethink that. Of course, that little voice was my husband. He didn't really say that. Anyway, I'm so glad you're all here. I'm not freaking out because I can see your names all the way down there now. And I'm so glad you're here. You know why I'm glad you're here? Because I couldn't do this without all of you, all of my Facebook and YouTube friends. So I'm so glad you're watching our video today. Now I'm going to sneak over to the other camera so I can show you our demonstration. All right, let me move that over so I can see. There we go. All right, so I'm going to show you. I've got a odd shaped project, and I did it this way because I started with some single crochet rows, and I did some half doubles and some double crochets, and then I veered up and did some decreased stitches. And I did this for a reason, and because I want to show you that don't be afraid to do those single crochet stitches on the edge of your project. So what I'm going to show you first, I'm going to pop on my glasses so I can see what I'm doing here. All right, put my hook in. And so here I have an edge that's uneven, right? I mean, you cannot You know, this, you cannot evenly crochet down that without freaking out, right? Don't freak out. So what I try to do, I'm going to show you this technique, and then I have another technique I'm going to show you, okay? So what I do is I try not to go in these big holes that are like between. I try to go, because usually you're stitching down the edge of a row when you're doing that. When you get to the bottom and you can see your stitches, that's super easy. Or if across the top where you started your chain, that's super easy. But when you get down to these edges, it's a little bit confusing. So what I do is I try to go right in the stitch itself and stitch that single crochet. Okay, I'm going to go in the stitch here. And now I'm curving down. And there's a stitch there for me to put that in. But oh my goodness, do I put a stitch in this hole? No, don't put the stitch in the hole. Now, there might be times where you have no other place to put it and you have to put it there. But what I do is, here's the stitch. I try to go in the stitch that's on the end of that row. And this is an awkward one because we're going down a strange angle. Well, I don't want to put one here in this hole. So I'm going to put it here in the side of this stitch. And when you're stitching down the side, you're going to have to eyeball it a little bit. Because if you put the stitch too far away, you'll have a gaping hole in here. But if you put it too close, it'll be all rippled up. So you're going to have to use your eyeballs a little bit and see where to put those stitches. Now I don't want to put one in a hole because that'll leave a hole. So I'm going to put it right in that stitch. And that's the way I do it when something is uneven. All right, I'm going to whip down the side of this real quick. So now we're on these rows that are nice and even. And that makes it a lot easier. And you can see these double crochets, stitches, and then we'll go to half doubles and then singles down the side here. Well, what I do again is I try to go in this stitch at the end of the row. Not these big gaping holes. You want to go in between that stitch, the loops of the yarn, and stitch that single crochet. And see, I'm going in there, going right in the side of that stitch. Okay, so another thing that I try to do is, if I'm stitching a double crochet or half double crochet, I'll try to put 2 stitches per row. That makes it nice and snug and nice and tight without rippling up. Okay, so there's 1, and then I'm going to go right in these loops of that stitch and stitch 2, and it makes a nice even row along your edge. All right, there's 1. I'm going to go right in that next portion and stitch a second one. Now when you're doing half double crochets, you may have to put 1 and then maybe put 2 in the next, just so it doesn't get too jumbled up, because you know a half double crochet is a tighter stitch. Okay, so now I'm down to these single crochets, and what I do when I do single crochet rows is I just put 1 of the single crochets, that one's tight, there we go, in the end of each row. And see how that makes a nice even row on there? And that's one technique that you can do. If I were to go along here, it'd be super easy. I would just put 1 single crochet in each single crochet stitch. All right, I'm just going to make a chain 1 and tighten that off. And I'm just going to cut that. And we're going to use the other side of this project. I'm going to show you another technique. And I'm going to use a different color so that you can see what I'm doing. And another way to do this is, I'm just going to start right here in this stitch. I'm going to pull this yellow yarn in and do a little chain 1 and snug that down. And another technique that you can do is just stitch slip stitches down and then come back and stitch your single crochets in the slip stitches. Now I don't do this very often because I think it makes it a little too bulky for some things. It works great for a washcloth though. So I'm going to go in that stitch just like I did with the single crochets and just slip a stitch, a slip stitch. And if you're not sure what a slip stitch is you go in, you pull up a loop, and then you pull that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And what you'll see happen is it'll form a row of braids. Let me do a few more. They're really loops. I call them braids because it looks like when I used to braid my little girl's hair. Of course, my little girl's in her 30s now. Alrighty, so there's some loops. See those loops there? And you can do this all the way down or all the way around, whatever project you're doing. And you want to kind of go with the same idea as we did over here. 2 per double crochet or half double crochet, 1 per single crochet, and you're going to have to eyeball it again to make sure it's nice and even. And then what you would do, I'm going to bring my orange back in so that you can see, is you just bring your, there we go, I made that kind of tight, didn't I? There we go. Alrighty, so we're going to do our little chain 1. And then what you would do is you would just go across those loops and stitch your single crochets. And you can do it through both loops if you want to. I like to do it through just the back loop because I think it makes it a little bit too bulky if you go through both the loops. And so I prefer to do it this way. And if you want to do a different color, you get a nice little jump of, in a second color, or you can do them the same, color if you don't want it to show. And that's 2 different ways that you can do how to evenly crochet across the edge of your project. All right, let me scoot back over here. And I hope that explained it to you. I'm sorry my voice is dry today. We're having beautiful weather. Let me pop off my glasses because they're glaring. But anyway, I hope that helped you. And understanding the thing about single crocheting around the edge is you have to kind of let your creative juices flow a little bit because you don't have a stitch to go in. And it always works better, in my opinion. Now remember, my videos are just my opinion, and you can do things your way if it works better for you. Remember that. Okay, and I try to show you things that I sort of learned along the way. I've been crocheting for over 40 years, and there's a lot of little things that I learned along the way that helped me, and so I want to pass those on to you. So anyway, those are 2 really great techniques that you can do, and don't get frustrated with it, because it can be very frustrating if you look, and your stitches are too bunched up or they're too far separated. And it doesn't hurt if you've added too many stitches to, pull it out and redo it. Or if you've not added enough, pull it out and redo it. Because number 1, crochet is an art. And number 2, it doesn't matter if there's a mistake or 2, if nobody knows it's there, and then it's unique. So that's, I keep saying so anyway. So that is my 2 techniques that I use. Now, which one do I use which? I normally use the first technique on almost everything that I do. And when I do a video, I also show that technique. But there are times that I use the other one. I don't really use the second one with the slip stitches as often because I think it makes it a little too bulky. But it's perfect for blankets. It's perfect for dishcloths or even washcloths or anything where it's not going to matter if that edge is a little bit bulky. Okay, so what's happening this week? What's new at Posh Pooch Designs? All right, so we had a little fun over the weekend. I had a lady ask, that's upside down. I had a lady ask me if I had a dog bone pillow. And I thought, no, I don't have one, but I want to make one. Well, then I remembered that I had this simple little dog mat. And I thought, why not sew them together using single crochets all around the edges, stuff it, and add a silly smile. So I did. And I love it. And let me tell you a little joke about this. Or not joke, but a trick. It's the perfect size to put behind your back for a little back support. And that's where this one sits all the time now. I guess I need a little more coffee. Alrighty. So another thing that we did this week are the Tutti Frutti baby hats. This is a newborn size, and oops, this is your toddler size. Now, the newborn size also fits the American Girl dolls. So there's your little something that maybe you don't have a baby, but you got a child who likes those American Girl dolls or any of the 18-inch dolls. The small newborn size fits. And this is made out of the Cupcake Karen yarn that comes with the pom-pom. Now I have two pom-poms on here. I took one off the other one. And I was going to show you this one. Sometimes the pom-pom's too heavy for a baby head. So I just tie it in a bow underneath that I can take that out. And especially if you want to wash it. And then you can pop off that pom-pom and wash it. And it's a great lightweight hat. It's because the yarn is a number 3, not a number 4. And it's perfect for the summer because the top is solid. So the top of their head won't get sunburnt. But it's got this little brim so it keeps the sun off their face. So it's a perfect little hat. And although I did those in the Karen Cake Cupcake yarn, you can use a cotton. Now I wouldn't suggest the Peaches and Cream or Sugar and Cream because they tend to be just a bit thicker. But there's a yarn that I really love. It's called Symphonia that Hobby Lobby carries. And then you can also use the Hobby Lobby I Love This Cotton for both of those hats. And if you use the cupcake yarn, you can get 2 hats out of 1 cake. Just so you know. And you know, I love a bargain. And I did go to Michael's this week. I picked up some more Karen Cake yarn. I can see they're back there. I have a lot of plans for those. You know, I schedule my designs and my stuff way in advance so my testers know what's going on. But I also change things all the time. And I just have so much fun designing and creating. And when I walk through there and I see things on sale, I think, oh, I can do this, 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 or this, you know. So I have lots of fun designs and plans. Okay, now yesterday we did lesson 9 of our Back to Crochet Basics. And it was one of my favorites because we got to make a little ball. And what we did yesterday is we learned about how to continuous crochet without having to join or chain 1, or you just keep right on going. We talked about that. And then we also learned how to increase and decrease to get the ball shape. And I thought this was so much fun. So I made 4 of them. And they're great. My husband loves to juggle, so I'll have to have him juggle some of these sometime. And another thing you can do with these is you can put your pins in them. Use it for a pin cushion. You can put sand or beans in them and use them for a bean bag. We just stuffed them in the video, but one thing you can do is get those cheapy, inexpensive knee-high nylons, and you can fill it with beans or with sand or with rice. Tie it tight, and what I do is I put in it what I want in there. I tie it tight, then I pull it the other way and I tie it tight again, so it's double the nylon, and then I cut it off and put it in there. And you can do that with the stuffing as well. I just didn't do it this time. What I'm trying to do with my videos, I don't know if you've ever watched my Back to Crochet Basics videos, and we're on lesson 9 now. There are 12 lessons in the series, and each week we have, the video is divided into 2 sections. You have a lesson portion that's about maybe 4 to 7 minutes, depending on what we're covering. And then after the lesson video, we go right into, it's the lesson portion, and then we go right into the practice project portion. And what you can do when you're watching those, say you already know how to do that, but you just want to do the video, just fast forward to the project portion. The lesson portion's at the beginning, and then you can fast forward to the practice project portion. I want to make sure I said that right. And so each week there is a little beginner crochet pattern that you can do. It's a lot of fun. And sometimes these little projects, I don't know about you, but I get involved in these great big projects. And sometimes I just need to make something that's like instant gratification crochet. And so I'll do a small project that I can give away, or that I'm going to use around the house, or something like a scrubby or something, you know. And of course you can never make too many scrubbies. So, and that's really great to do. you know, those smaller projects. So I want to make sure everybody's clinked in. And somebody asked me the other day again, what does clinked in mean? And you know, when you go out with the girls or with your friends and you clink your wine glasses or your tea glasses or whatever, that's all we're doing, is just saying hello and clink, you know? And it's just a friendly thing, because to me, you all are my friends. My followers and my friends and my YouTube subscribers, you all make this happen. Because back to my goal, when the other lady that I was discussing plans for 2018, she asked me, what's my goal? What's my plan? And I read you the Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, be silly, be honest, and be kind. And of course I added be real, because I'm just real. I'm not going to play any games. I'm just me. And I think everyone should be silly and honest and kind. And the last thing that my goal is for my YouTube channel, my crochet patterns, or any of my other places that I post stuff, is I want everybody to love to crochet. Man, woman, boy, girl, child. As soon as they can pick up a crochet hook, teach that child to crochet. Because I love it. It's something that's so much fun. It's healing. And it's also, you know, it brings people together. And, you know, it's just fun. My crochet group we do here, I don't get with them as often as I'd love to. But I love it when we can get together and we just have coffee and chat and talk about yarn, talk about crochet. And that's what I want this to be, just a chat where we can talk about the things that we love about crochet. So I'm going to let you go. I'm so glad you were here with me today. Like I said, can't do it without you. And make sure you crochet something fun this week. Have a great week.